Well, I'm really excited to be here today and helping close out eTourism Summit to talk to you today about a topic that I'm really passionate about and I love. At MMGY, we love email marketing. We find it to be so successful for our clients. It's such a underutilized channel and underappreciated channel. So was thrilled when we were asked to come and speak to you all here today about email marketing and specifically drip or sequential messaging. Because we do speak with a lot of people in the industry, and not everybody has really adopted and built out automations. And so the role today is really to kind of talk through kind of some tips and tactics and ways to start those campaigns, or ways to maybe think about revisiting and exploring the automated programs that you have in place right now. How many people here wish that their inbox only had 2 emails in it? I recently was playing IT for my mother and her iPad, and her icon for Gmail was 21,000, and I had a little bit of a panic attack about that. But hopefully we'll talk about how we can be impactful with email and not lead your inbox to get to over 20,000. So when we talk about drip email campaigns, it's really, the impact of it is really that those drip campaigns create ripples, and those ripples create waves. And we're so bullish about email marketing because when we look at the analytics and the data related to our clients' websites, and we're managing email programs, email typically is the second highest converting referral source behind pay-per-click advertising for completing goals on the website, whether it's downloading a vacation guide, referring out to one of your industry partners, and those kind of areas. But I think email just has struggled to get more passion behind it because it has been around for a while. There's a kind of a connotation that anybody can do email. We'll get so-and-so to do email. But it's evolved so much, and there's so much we can do with data related to email that we want to make sure that we're educating and we're taking these opportunities to really explore how we can optimize our email programs to be really impactful for your organizations and your partners. So some quick stats related to email marketing. So there'll be over close to 350 billion emails sent in 2023, which is pretty shocking. 90% or 92% of U.S. Internet users use email, right? So we're always talking. The last session was talking about you got to be where the audiences are, and people are obviously using their inbox. It's also a big responsibility, right? Like that's a personal invitation to somebody's inbox, right? That's not something that they're being exposed to through media or out of home, or them having intent and doing Google searches or going to your website. You're getting right into their inbox, and that's personal. And the average person receives 125 emails each day, and so that's a lot. That's a lot to have to go through, right? Like, my email routine typically is a lot of curating and deleting email. Most of the time I spend in my email is probably deleting things, right? But how do we cut through that, and how do we make sure that we're being impactful with email as a medium? And so one thing that's really great for us to know as an industry, according to the U.S. Travel Association DMO Digital Performance Dashboard, which everybody who's an association member will have access to, is that 34.5% open rate for our industry. And so when we look at that and compare it against other industries, it's 60% higher than other industries. And so people want to hear from us. They want to be inspired in their inbox, right? A story about a destination is a lot more impactful than a coupon for an oil change or somebody trying to sell you new shoes. So when we drill even further down, we look at the performance of drip campaigns. The open rates are 75% higher than standard newsletter email sends. So it's because we're being targeted, we're having intent, and we're personalizing those messages, and that allows us to make a stronger connection and get that engagement that we're looking to get out of the channel. And then even further is that once people have opened, the click rates out are 3 times higher than standard emails. So the performance is there, and the research and the data support that these kind of programs and this kind of initiative and is worth your effort and your time. So how do you start, or if you've already started, what should you do to kind of keep your email program refreshed? So first, it's really making anything. Focus on your desired outcomes. What do you want to accomplish, right? Sometimes that's just simply creating a welcome series, right? Somebody's giving us their email address, right? That's we all want first-party data. But we have to be responsible, and we have to provide value and make a value proposition that keeps that person engaged and informed. So thinking about how you want to extend your brand story through welcome messaging is a great first start and a very low effort to start your program. Then you could certainly elaborate and move into things like educating people, sharing trip itineraries, ideas, how to do, where to go, what to stay, where to stay, those kind of things, or promotions related to further inspiration and things that you want to get out there, or things you're testing, campaigns, events, sweepstakes, those kind of things. Or simply re-engaging those email subscribers that have fallen out of favor or have not been active with you for a while. So to start off, it's always about, I think, analysis, right? You always have to be have self-awareness about what's going on with your program, right? So, first and foremost, certainly reviewing your audiences, looking at your segments, what are your historical results, right? That's your benchmark and your baseline to work against. And then looking at those data collection methods and data flows, right? That's really important too, because there's many different ways to collect those emails and tactics to increase that lead generation, to increase your database in order to deliver more emails, inspire more people, and drive more people to your website and then your destination. And then creative opportunities, right? It surprises me sometimes when I see some of the disconnect between email creative and destination websites, their branding campaigns. You should be refreshing your email creative, in the same capacity that you're refreshing your campaigns. And so think about those opportunities to create new and exciting ways to position yourself visually and get your story across. And then certainly looking at your lists and your segments and looking at what's working there. Are there new audiences? Are there new products and things that you want to talk about in your destination, and make sure that you're relaying those to your subscribers. And then, now that you've done a little bit of analysis, a little bit of thought about where things are, let's get strategic. Let's think about what we want to do. And so determining those data collection methods, right? Is it just a newsletter subscribe in your footer? Is it a dedicated page? Is it both of those? Is it marketing overlays? Are there overlays where you're capturing people on the exit intent? So that's one of the greatest ways that we found in terms of driving lead generation is, we're spending so much time to get people in money to get people to our websites. As you saw in an earlier session, 16% of travelers are using your websites. If we're spending money in media to get people to your website, and we historically see that people are only spending 2 minutes and going to 2 pages on your website, well, the thing we want to get is to bring them back into the fold, be able to tether them to us, and to bring them back into storytelling. So we employ a lot of marketing overlays that are based on exit intent, right? When somebody's about to leave, making sure, hey, before you go, let's stay connected. Let's make sure that we can keep you informed about what's going on. And we've seen tremendous success with those types of tactics as well. And then thinking about your deployment plan, your calendaring, your events, what you want to get out there, both from a newsletter perspective and then as you think about sequential messaging. Think about those key audience and segments that you want to test. What's new and exciting in your destination? Where are the incremental opportunities, right? We already know that you already have base audiences and people that have interest in where you're located and where they want to go. But how do we drive into that a little bit further and identify those new opportunities to get incremental growth and reach new audiences in new ways? And then engagement tactics, thinking about how we're going to keep people and have them take the next logical step in what you want them to accomplish with your email marketing program. And then obviously revising creative and defining those automation flows. So planning out your creative, we really work very closely with our branding teams and all of the creative campaign teams to make sure that our email creative is fresh, it's really vibrant. Our email templates typically, when we build them, are very long. We think about every possible way that we can tell a story, how we want to tell that story in different ways, what are the different mediums, what are the visuals, content blocks, different ways that we can do that. And we build out pretty significant templates that allow us to then go through and create, pull out which components do we want. I want this one, I want this video one, I want this, this testimonial, this UGC component. And by building out templates, it gives you a lot of flexibility to make sure that your layout and how you deliver email stays fresh, especially as you're talking to these different segments, right? People that are, thinking about, culinary being a motivator for them, they want to see a lot of visuals. They want to see a lot of that type of information. People who are wanting to do a deeper dive into culture and arts maybe want a little bit more copy and a little more to read. So we really think through different ways to distinguish and create those opportunities to keep your designs fresh. And then planning for personalization, whether it's inserting the name of your user, identifying their location, what data points you have on file, where you can make that personal connection with them so that they know, you're in my inbox and you know who I am and you're delivering value to me, and I'm going to stay connected with you and I'm going to engage with your content. And of course, accessibility is super important today. So thinking about font, formatting for font color usage, dark mode, those things are really important to think about. Make sure that you're testing and going through all of that process to make sure that you're delivering the best experience possible to the most users possible. And then whenever possible, leveraging that evergreen content, right? So I mentioned earlier, people coming to your website, spending 2 minutes, going to 2 pages. We're always talking about content. The last couple of sessions have all been about content. We can build a lot of content, but if we don't merchandise that content correctly, then it's not being seen, right? And that content starts bubbling out, or it becomes a hunting and pecking thing where we're relying on that traveler to find what they're looking for instead of resurfacing that to them and curating what we know is important to them. There we go. And so the next step really after doing the design work is really thinking through and mapping out the data flows in the series that you want to produce. So you know the audiences that you want to go after. You have an idea of the data collections and where you're capturing that data. You maybe on your outdoor recreation page, you want to make sure that you're appending that email capture to understand this person signed up on email on an outdoor activity page. They're going to be interested in that. So how do we deliver that first message to them? And then what is the next message that we want to follow up with? And think about the cadence, the timing that you want to put this across. What is the next logical step? What's the next sequential message in that story that you want to tell and build upon for your brand? And then thinking through, did that person open that? Do we need to resend that same email, or have they engaged with us and it's time to take them to the next step towards visitation and driving them closer to getting to your destination? So visually, this is kind of what this could look like, right? You're seeing kind of the beginning, immediate email that they get upon sign up. This is for our client Sensei, which is a wellness resort in Hawaii. Within a couple days, we send a follow-up email. The format of the content, the layout changes slightly here. 7 days later, we hit them again. And then again, 7 days later, we want to connect with them. And then based on their engagement and how they've been interacting with us, we make different decisions and pathways for them to keep them engaged and to keep them exploring and keeping us in the consideration set, because email is that greatest way to recapture and retarget and bring those people back in from your own first-party data. And then lastly, tracking and optimizing your performance, right? So at the beginning, we talked about baselining your metrics to kind of understand where you are, and then you're focusing on the outcomes that you want to have. Now start measuring against that and start making decisions about how you want to continue that performance and keep that improvement going. Conducting tests, we're always testing, whether it's subject lines, including emojis, changing out elements, personalizing. There's always opportunities for you to be testing and improving. And especially as you start creating these different segments of automations, you can see like, oh, culinary is performing really well. It's got this layout. This is the content within there. Maybe this other category isn't performing really well. Is it the layout? Is it how it's presented? Is it the visuals that we're including? There's always opportunities to tweak and improve performance in that way. And then building upon that program to scale. So, you may start with four automations. Maybe it's one, but you can continue to build on that. And really, the power of it is that, there's not really an easy button, right? Because you have to do a lot of legwork up front to create these automations. However, once you have those in place, those are pre-planned, the messaging and the content is pre-populated, it's somewhat evergreen. You certainly should be like revisiting and thinking about it either through testing or thinking about every 6 months, is that automation still fresh? Do we have new content that we want to bubble up? And then scheduling based on those users' actions within your website is always important. And really focusing on mapping to those engagement points and what you want to get out of it. But the real opportunity is to really harness that power of automation, which is going to give you scale without the efforts. And you know, what's really exciting, we've mentioned AI a couple times. There is a ton of opportunity within email and AI, and I know MailChimp just launched a content creator there. So I think in the future, there's going to be a lot of opportunities for us to create tons of different segments, identify really incremental new audiences, new topics, or new combinations of content that you want to present to people, and use AI to help scale that out in order to deliver that. Thank you all.